Welcome back, everybody. This is session 1 of Shapes in the Dark. Who wants to actually give us a brief overview of the prologue from last week? Anyone want to step up to the plate before we go down the rabbit hole into the darkness?
A volunteer tank. Since he got to observe so much of it, that is.
We volunteer.
I second that motion.
All right, Dave, Tane, take it away. It's 2 against 1, brother.
So last week, as the scene opened, 2 of our intrepid heroes were making their way down the streets of Fellport, and it wasn't, I'm trying to remember, I think it was the afternoon, but the reality of it is that it was a dark day, as were all days. The sun had not crested like it once did. For some time, the land had been thrust into sort of a dusk-like during day. As they exchanged stories and catching up, the 3rd member of the party was riding in through the gates, and not a big parade or to-do to go with it. He's not much of a head turner, being from the northern hills of the savage lands. But as he connected with his friends, there was an interruption of a cavalcade of unusual people. One particular seemed to think that Tane was a homeless person, flicking him a platinum coin with bearing the marks of what looked like a serpent's mouth. And as such, as Tane stood confused looking at it, he then saw the entourage of the trail of thralls that were following behind them. He tried to return the money to the individual, but he flippantly waved it on, so as he kept it. And as they went into the devil's, somebody help me here.
Rest.
Devil's Rest.
Devil's Rest. We were able to find a table to reconnect at, but it was our scholar that was very interested in the group of individuals, and oddly enough, we ended up making friends with said individuals even after unusual fuckery was afoot in the form of shadow. Oddly enough, the 3 of us agreed to make sail and join them on their adventure. We're not sure what that entails just yet, but they did promise safe passage. And as such, being a shaman of Agiun, he seeks to learn more of the ways of shadow, not to embrace it, but to fight it. And I believe that this is probably, while dangerous, a very good way of finding that out. So as the scene closed, as the clean closed, our bard, Amorous, drank into the evening, giving more songs. Our scholar, I believe he stayed in the bar too, Fern?
For a bit. Then, of course, as the evening began to wind down, he retired back to the the enclave that the library where he had been staying to inform his his mentor that he was going on an adventure.
Very good. Very good.
And was gathering his things together.
And Tane ended up feeding some of the and helping some of the local equine beasts with their maladies and praying over them, showing them the light of Agiun before laying his head to rest next to his own mare. And I believe that catches us up.
It does. It does. What we will, what we'll have here is the stage curtains will then open on what would pass for dawn in the Gloomwillow cycle. Essentially, when you naturally wake up and the city begins to wake up around you. We will have Amorous Thorn wake up in some bed somewhere with two people with him. He does not know the names of these people. One of them is in his lap. One of them is using his head as a pillow, being smothered by her mane of blonde hair. And you're sore in the naughty places on your body. It was a fantastic night. You have no idea what happened. I mean, for all the gods above us. Why? Oh. Well, hello there, ladies. As you, I'm gonna leave you there. I'm gonna leave you there. Does he actually get out of bed? I don't know if he can or not.
I mean, you wake up and one person in the lap and you're in the lap of another one. Do you really want to wake up at that point? I mean, you kind of just wake up, you look up and say, "Oh, hello there, love. Come here. Let's go for round however many we stopped at last night."
All right, switching scenes to Fernaleus across town. Fernaleus, you gathered your things in a relatively quick, efficient, and a quiet manner, and
Yes.
you decided to fuck yourself off to what comes across as the Yathite quarter, which by
Yes.
quarter is 9 houses and a fence.
Right. The Yitzhak Ghetto. Yes.
Right.
I maintain a small, basically a cell, I guess you can call it, there with my mentor, Nephthys, and I gathered my things, retrieved the beautiful blade that he had gifted me some while back in the Yethite style, and gathered my blank shield with no device on the front, a small bag with some wax tablets and stylus in it, and my typical flask, which I keep in a separate pouch. That's I go to the kitchens to refill from that morning's butchery, and I'll go and gently rap on the door of Nephthys' chamber.
Would you describe for us how filthy and miserable the Yathite tenement is?
The buildings look as if they're assembled from either discarded pieces of shipwrecks or basically gathered wood from here and there, planking that doesn't quite match the. Of course, the Yethites themselves are not familiar with this area, and one of the things that Fernaleus has been sort of helping them do is learn how to use a daub to cheek the holes in the walls to keep the wind and rain out at night. The streets themselves are well swept. They're clean as far as trash and such, because they don't have the Yethites here don't have very much, but what they have they are very proud of. Most of them have a carving over the door. It's an odd symbol from For those who don't understand what it is, it's a stylized bird with a long beak. From their home world, that is, or their homeland, that is a symbol of one of their deity, or one of their deities, I should say. They have many. A few of them, though, have a head above the door that resembles a jackal's head. When Fernless walks by those, he reverts his eyes and says a little prayer under his breath. For those are the followers of the dark god Set. But each of the residences are inside are very well maintained, with very few personal possessions other than the tablets that they maintain for their studies. The few doctors and such with their reagents and their drying herbs and such, which they have a challenge in doing so here because of the damp atmosphere. But this particular home is it's actually dug into the ground a bit, so that the ground floor is about 3 steps down from the level of the road. Whether that pit was already there or it was dug is unknown to Fernless, but he has a small cot in the back with a little place to put his books and such as he brings. And there are 2 things in this room, which is a single large room, that stand out to the viewer's eye, and it's 2 bottles of exquisite wine that the Umbriads brew from some dark, possibly fungus or some other kind of plant that they know of, maybe similar to a grape, but it's a very dark wine, almost black, and it is one that Nephthys enjoys.
Your mentor answers that you're rapping.
I'm to leave momentarily, he says in the tongue of the Gethites.
He kind of furrows his brow. He's an elderly man, about in his mid to late 40s. He goes, "Where are you to be off?"
I'm going on an adventure. I found one.
Ah,
One like myself, and one like my father.
he cocks an eyebrow at this and says, "Are you certain?"
I am. I'm aware of the risks. I have companions going with me. I'll not be going on my own.
Ah,
But I can't turn up the turn down the chance to study one up close, to learn about them. I'm able to find some clue to where my father may be, or if he still exists.
he nods and he goes into his rundown shack of a room, and he brings you out an old tome with a small purse of monies in it. He goes, "Well, take these with you." And,
This money would get you to the next few weeks. Do you have food? Well,
I have plenty. The overseer has delivered very kindly a surplus of provisions for our tenement, our living space, and we may be getting our own separate living spaces. We Ibicians and the Setites.
That would be good. Whether you are from those reprobates, the better.
The overseer seems to look kindly upon our people, and we're very grateful for his kindness. How long this kindness will last, we don't know. And he kind of just looks down the way, looks past you down the alleyway, and he says, "Well, we know how he treats the Ateans, but
But
His voice trails off there.
Fernley sort of shivers. He says, "Yes, but they're Tayans."
He just nods and, well, best be off with you. We don't want to keep our companions waiting too long, hey?
No, we do not. We don't want them to leave without me. He sort of beams a smile at his mentor and throws his arms around him, gives him a big hug, which I'm sure makes the Yethite a bit uncomfortable, as they don't really do touch, but Briads do.
Yeah, they're not a touchy-feely people. They come from the desert. You don't want to be touching people. No.
Yeah, so he keeps the embrace brief, but and then turns and in the whirl of his robes and cloak, he heads toward the door out the front.
You see, you pass just a few minutes later. All of this is within the harbor district of Velport, so within maybe like a 10 to 15 minute walk of all three of you. Fernelius finds his way back across the main causeway on his way to the Devil's Rest, and he actually spies. We'll see if he spies anybody. Awareness test, Keith, please.
Awareness it is. Let me see. What are your awareness? There you are. That is going to be a 14, sir.
You see a troop of the Ebon Watch in all of their regalia and their piratical sashes in that deep wine red, clad in their ebon armor. You see a Dusk Fairfolk. He seems to be their sergeant or their highest ranking member of this troop. There's 6 of them. Strangely enough, there are 2 Atayan watchmen. That's alien. The Atayans are not allowed to enlist in any fashion. And there's a man and a woman. You assume that they are Ebon folk, and they're all speaking to your new companion Farad in an alleyway. You see this out of the corner of your eye.
I'll pause, step over into a shadowed alcove, and see what I can overhear. That is my stealth. That is going to be a 16.
16. All right. As far as you're aware, no one has spotted you. You will see that you did catch Farad's eye when you did stop, and just before you tried to duck out of sight. So he minimum knows you're there. But you overhear their sergeant, the Fairfolk, utter the words, "So you found 2 of them?" And Farad goes, "Yes, they'll staked out for the sun with their heads cut off, 2 alleys down." And a couple of the other members of the watch in this troop just kind of go wide-eyed. And Farad just gives them a winning and shameless smile. "Good day, gentlemen." And he leaves them. He actually walks to the end of this alleyway and he goes, "I know you're there."
I just did not want to intrude as I step out with him and begin walking beside him wherever he's going. I'm assuming toward this. I assume you had business to attend to, and Fernlea sort of he has a look of being a bit uncomfortable because he's not necessarily used to that level of violence he just heard about. And he said, "Why would you stake something out to the sun if its head's been removed?"
For the sunlight.
He says for a moment, the purifying rays of the celestial orb. Yeah,
What's
let's
left?
talk about that.
What's left of him anyway? And he kind of he flashes his fangs at you again with a
Mhm.
smile, right? Which is unsettling as shit.
Well, definitely is, but at the same time, it's like mental notes here. So apparently vampires are not. If I'm, I actually asked the question. I said, so I assume the two of them were of the
Ragmen.
Ragmen.
Are you familiar with this term?
Am I familiar with this term? That's a good question. I'll roll a lore test and find out.
You
So-
might not be. There's a very, very
17.
strong 17. Nope.
Mhm.
You're
Okay.
close, but no, you're just like, not yet.
He pauses for a moment as he's walking and thinks for once. Says, "No, I've not come across that term."
Oh, well, a ragman is one such as we are, but they are filthy and decrepit, and they are beggars who live in the gutter, if you will. And he just starts walking in the direction of the Devil's Rest.
Okay,
He assumes that you're just going to follow him.
I am. I'm going to follow him. As he pauses for a moment and notices that his companion is not stopping, and he hurries to catch up to him. He says, "So there are more here."
There's not many, but in places where many humans and other mortals congregate, there's a lot of food here. And Philport
never
has an
knew.
extensive underground.
I knew about that, but I didn't realize there were any of them here.
They are
What a shame, he says, sort of under his breath.
no, they are filthy and horrid things.
Yes, but things worthy of study.
No, they would soon as devour you than speak with you. Some do not even speak.
So soulless things.
Little more than beasts or nightmares.
He thinks on that for a
He
moment as he's walking
stops.
along.
As it starts raining, and he just kind of he turns to you and he says, "How old are you?" Almost demanding it of you.
Just mere 200 cycles.
Oh, kind of like does the side of your face just like that. You poor child lost in the world. And he just keeps walking.
He, having been used to having that dismissive kind of attitude from his mother, he's sort of reaches up and touches his face. First off, was his hand cold?
His hand is icy cold.
Okay, mental note. It's literally everything any interaction he has with Farad is going to be a study, basically.
Of course.
So he follows Farad to the Devil's Rest. So he's throwing his hood up to ward off the rain and grimacing at the irritation.
He enters. Balinor is there, waiting for you two. Ormond is, as Balinor explains, he is off at the ship, waiting for the rest of us.
My companions will be here soon. I'm worried about Thorn's already here.
Farad kind of murmurs to you if he has not moved from his roost. He is still upstairs in bed with the other maidens.
Yeah, that's usually where he'll be. So I'm willing to bet Tane will probably be at the nearest stall.
Balinor says, "Well, I believe he went to go sleep with his horse."
Yes. Sometimes I wonder about him and that horse.
I don't believe he buggers the thing, but he just seems to keep it warm.
I don't know.
Farad just looks
smells
over at
enough.
Balinor and says, "You've slept in a stable, haven't you?" Well, when you're trying to escape villagers, particularly superstitious ones, then yes. Farad just smirks from under his hood.
Fernlez will walk over and sit down next to Balinor and say, tell me about this escaping from villagers.
I come from the west. Valinor will go on to explain most of his personal history. He is the spawn of a vampire lord and an Emersian chieftain, a chieftain priestess of a god that you're not familiar with. You're not familiar with the language that he uses mostly to describe his happenings, but he does say that he is of the stock of Moldark and the East, however, if you go back far enough.
Okay, the East. All right. I'll very intently listen to him and try to commit as much of this to memory as I possibly can.
So, no, he explains that Dhampir, unlike their vampire parent, are in some mystery allowed to go wherever they wish, and some vampires are more married. He uses the term married to the place of their the place of their death, the place of their rebirth.
That's very interesting to know. I had a conversation once with a beautiful young maiden. Well, I thought she was young, and she told me a few things, but not much. So something about the origins thereof, about 5 maidens who offered themselves to Carnage and some other beast or demon. I'm not sure exactly what you would call it. And they became the first, I believe. At least that was the tale I was told.
Farad does confirm this for you. Yes, that is a story that's passed down for most of us.
Fascinating. He'll pull out his tablet, his wax tablet, and start doing some markings on it, sort of sitting back, almost ignoring the rest now, as he's trying to memorize things.
I would imagine that it's about this time you smell him before you see him. He smells like hay and probably earth and maybe a touch of sweat. He does look well presented, but meaning he has brushed himself clean, as you would any fine coat, and he walks up to the table carrying a plate and a mug of ale, and sits down with them, just sort of looks at them and says, "What do you say for today? Did you rest easy?"
Good evening. I was, well, I got a bit of rest. The excitement was almost too much, though, for me.
You normally don't. I've always seen you sort of not engage in the frivolity, right? This is not something that you would do.
No. I mean, I've been known from time to time among the Umbriad. I've been known as I think the term in I believe the term in the Ebon folk tongue is "let my hair down." But
Well,
typically here, no.
You might get some of that ink, and he kind of wiggles his fingers in your hair.
Yes. So, he's talking to you, but he seems sort of half distracted as he's making these marks on his wax tablet. So he speaks to you, but he doesn't actually look up from it.
You got something on your cheek.
He'll look up and what?
Right.
He reaches up to his
Don't
cheek.
mind me.
What is it? Is it Horston again?
No, I think it's left over from last night when you got scratched.
Yeah, that. So, yes, that's it'll heal in time.
As he takes a big bite out of the piece of bread, he just leans over and looks at it like with a somewhat of a trained eye. I mean, he does have a little bit of knowledge of that. Is it already healed or still just scabbed over?
It's it actually has healed actually.
It wasn't very
Okay.
deep. It wasn't very deep.
Well, it's the minor blessings. It'd really be bad to see it fester and get disgusting. Where is that bard this morning? He's did he sing his lungs out? Empty his cock?
Most likely. He probably sang himself off of the stage into a bed.
No, he probably rolled off the stage into a bed.
Oh, that's true. Went from a solo act to a duet, possibly a trio, knowing him.
Yeah. Yes, he is. He's quite the entertainer. He plays more than one flute.
I haven't heard him actually doing that.
It was a play on words. I'm sorry. I thought you'd catch it.
Oh, I'm sorry. He finishes taking what notes he was and puts the cover on the wax tablet and puts it back down in his pouch and puts his he actually keeps his stylus in like a little pocket sewn into his robes. He looks up. I'm sorry, I was distracted there. I was writing down some very interesting information.
Oh, may I? He reaches over and he just goes to grab it
no,
out
no,
of his
no, no,
hand.
no, 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 Tane. That's for me. That's for me. But I'll tell you this. He leans forward and says, there are vampires in the city. They're called ragmen. They live on the streets.
He just kind of looks at you and takes a big bite out of the bread and then leans down into like this morning stew with no meat in it. He ends up pulling a piece out and just kind of setting it on the side. It just gets stranger and stranger daily.
Mm-hmm. Friendly has reached over, grab the meat, put it in his mouth, take a swig from his flask. Maybe a bit of a stain on his lips.
I'll just continue to do that, and he just continues to ladle out the meat and give it to him.
Yeah, Friendly he'll eat it. He's almost distracted in the fact that he starts talking about this his suppositions more than anything about ragmen, and they might live in the sewers, and they're apparently not very intelligent.
Are you talking about this
Yeah,
while
yeah.
the vampires are here?
I've not been told not to, so. So yeah, I'm not being I'm not being quiet about it.
Well, Tane's going from disbelief to kind of like just it's that prevalent, you know. He's just kind of stunned by it. Not only the fact that you're openly sort of talking about it with the morning crowd of people in the Devil's Rest.
No, there's not many other people in here. There's maybe like three others.
That's a boon.
Now, Farad finally, like, hey, look, you when you start speaking up, he just looks down at you, and he glares an evil, murderous black look at you and says, "Quiet yourself."
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to disturb you. He said he continues quieter.
He just lets those red eyes just linger on you, boring holes into your forehead if you're not looking at him.
He'll speak a few more sentences and then looks over. Of course, I'm sure he's probably noticing Farad this entire time. He sort of trails off and says, "Maybe on the ship." Now,
yeah, I think that barn door's
Farad.
shutting. We're gonna have to bridle it.
With a blush and friendly as his cheeks as his embarrassment. He realizes he was saying something he wasn't supposed to.
One of you go upstairs and retrieve your friend.
Fernleus is on his feet and darting up the stairs at that. So,
He's a pleaser, that one.
Good. He can make himself useful from now on then.
As I get upstairs, I try yelling out, Thorn, which room are you in? I know you're in one of these.
As Thorn is being yelled for, it will actually be presumptive by the high-pitched giggles of two ladies.
Ah, there he
As you
is.
see one, as you see one of the doors open, and they come sauntering out, pleased as hell with themselves, and probably with about half a dozen stories to tell for the night. A few seconds later, Thorn comes walking out, kind of gives you a sideways glare, and all right, I'm coming. He's like half dressed, loot's like hanging on his back.
He's just wearing a loot strap is what he's doing right now.
Where's his loot strap?
Yep.
That's fine. He, of course, Fernleus has his hood back up here, so he comes up and sees this whole thing. His eyes sort of get wide. He grins. He says, "Congratulations." So,
That was a good night.
hope you didn't tire
Yeah,
yourself
with
out
that,
too much.
Thorn will go in. It'll take about a minute or two. He'll get all his stuff, and he'll come back out, fully clothed, and will come up beside you.
Mhm.
I'm assuming everyone else is already here.
Yes, and later on, not here, but later on the ship. Let me tell you about ragmen. They're fascinating.
Ragman.
But apparently it's a secret. Farad doesn't like me talking about it. So obviously you're making a song about it later, right?
Sorry, what was that?
So obviously you're making a song about it later, right?
Oh, of course. Make a song about everything.
Mhm. Knowledge should be shared. But anyway, you get this. They're downstairs.
15 on the lore test for that, Rafe. I'm assuming that's not enough.
A what now?
15 on the lore test, to see if I know what ragmen mean.
Nope, you're not familiar with that
All
term.
right. Cool. Hey, looking forward to sharing new stuff.
Oh yes. So,
From the context, you kind of get homeless people, but homeless people are everywhere in Felport, so okay, whatever.
All right.
You can't.
Special kind of homeless people.
yes,
All right.
but as I said, not here. We'll wait for the ship.
Okay.
Farad seems to
I'm
get
starving.
miffed. Oh, actually,
I had dessert. I need to get breakfast.
Tane has a lot of meat he's been dishing out of his stew, so it's quite tasty today. I'm sure there's less rat in it this week than there was last week.
He's been putting it on the battery acid stained grog table there because, of course, the table is clean.
That's how he gets his seasoning.
All right, so we can reconvene again downstairs.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Farad,
Out of just habit, as Thorn walks, he'll actually be just playing tunelessly, I guess, so to speak.
just plucking.
Nothing really coherent, just plucking random notes.
A song will fall out of there at some point,
At some point.
right?
I think it's out of tune.
No, that's just you being tone deaf, Tane.
I have some skills. They do not include
Singing.
singing, tones. Chanting, though. Chanting is one of my things.
Your companion, Farad, just kind of lets his garnet colored eyes settle on the three of you just for a few moments. I hope the three of you have slept well. I'm assuming that you have decided to join us.
I have.
Yes, we have.
Shaman. Dave, you're muted. Unless you're having trouble with your headset.
Looks like he's having trouble.
Goddamn headset. God, Keith,
Bit of-
Jesus. I'm just.
Bit of
Hey,
technical
it's
issues.
not me this time. It's not me.
Oh,
okay. It
so
it shall resolve itself. It shall resolve itself.
So roll initiative. 200,000 zombies enter the room, and they first kill Tane, and you guys barely make it out alive with 2 vitality
I rolled
points.
double ones.
You do?
I
Oh
rolled double
shit!
ones.
Okay. So Fernaleus,
Do
the
I have a
dead baby,
thriller
has
moment
died.
then?
What?
Yes.
What? No.
Do I have a thriller moment then?
You do.
They call the
but
zombies dance.
But it is short-lived while the zombies make their will save. They're not entitled to a fucking will save, and everyone dies. And
will saves?
and Dave, we were just saying that you were so handsome this evening. You're such a wonderful friend, and you're still fucking
still muted.
I could hear everything you were saying.
Oh, really? Oh, shit.
After about 5 seconds of cutout, I switched it, so I was able to hear you. There's no fucking zombies.
There's no. I'm sorry, everybody. I was just shitting on Dave here.
But there was a thriller.
There was a thriller moment. It was thrilling, but no, shaman.
You know what they say about opinions?
They're just like assholes. Everyone has
Mhm.
one.
And they sleep with horses.
Very interesting.
That too.
And worth
That's okay.
recording.
All right.
They'll learn to like having me around.
Dave, you are being addressed by the vampire.
As stated, I believe I will. And if at any time I choose to walk away from this endeavor, we leave on amicable terms.
Our number agrees to these terms for you. Shall we see ourselves to the fateful maiden then?
Faithful Maiden, nice name.
Aye.
You are led to a relatively nondescript dock that, strangely enough, is actually quite near to the Yathite tenement. It's a long, not a long ship, but a, I suppose it's probably a cross between like an ore ship, like a trireme, or a an island hopping vessel. Not something for long excursions into the deep, but certainly something worthy of island hopping. Now, you do see Ormond on the deck. He is directing some of the other sailors, which you come to find out are mostly, save for 2, they're woodmen, and 2 of which are geats. They're all normal clad, their garb for sailing in these Denmark-like waters here. Farad boards the ship. Balinor waits for the 3 of you to, or say the 3 of you to board after him. Balinor does murmur something to Thorn as he is the closest. He goes, "Do not worry. The thralls are safe and downstairs in their quarters, and everyone has been fed nicely." He brings up the.
What are you serving?
What? He looks to Ormond. They've been served a stew, a pheasant stew.
Who's the cook so we can make arrangements for my specific diet?
I understand that you do not eat meat, so I've taken the liberty of asking them for you.
Very good, very good. It just, the shits are terrible after I eat the meat. I think it's a curse of the beautiful one.
He just kind of like crinkles his nose and he goes, all has been taken care of for you.
Very good.
We're to leave soon. I suggest you fetch your mount. That will give us time to get out the wider loading plank and then have her board us as well.
Okay, so I make my way off to the retrieve my mare.
Assuming that you've already paid the stable boy for your stall there, you are unaccosted and return with your mount to the fateful maiden.
Yeah, I think I paid for it yesterday.
You did, yeah. It's a money up front kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, so as I'm walking, I'm also just kind of having a conversation with her, not verbally, about what's coming. And they've made great arrangements for us, and this is a grand adventure. And you said yourself that we should leave home to experience the wonders of the world. You said that was Agion's blessing of her, from her own mouth to your ears. Is this not true?
You get an empathic message from, you assume the divine, saying that as ye have spoken, thus is it true.
Yes, but we will be challenged on this, and I as he's kind of holding on to his holy symbol, he's just sort of, one hand he's sort of feeling the knots of the corded horsehair, and he just kind of looks over at his mare in the eye. We ready for this?
You board the vessel. Ormond takes the last few moments to look upon the three of you and says, is there anything else that we are missing? Because we're not coming back this way.
Fernandez will take one look back toward the city and beyond, up, and he'll look up to the mountain is behind and think, I never said goodbye to mother, but then again, I think she'll miss me. He shakes his head and says, no, I'm fine.
Ormond follows your eyes to the mountain. He looks back at you. Are you certain?
I am.
He just nods, and he calls to the rest of the sailors. All right, let's bring us out of here. We're going to have about 2 weeks, two chains. That is 20 days worth of downtime here. Your quarters are given to you. If you have, the three of you are sharing a, unlike Corsairs, you guys are not going to have a walk-in closet that is mostly barrels. I'm not going to do that to you this time. You guys will actually have an apartment. I'm so nice to you, the three of you. You will have 3 hammocks. They will be clean hammocks without a mystery vomit stain on the cot. Can't be having that now. These aren't Corsairs. They are Vampric sailors. We have class here. Over this 20 days, I would like the 3 of you to go over, like kind of give us a brief soliloquy of the downtime of what goes on here. Tane, how about you take us away first? as we have a passage of time montage here.
So over the course of 20 days, he spends several hours a day with his mount and spending time to remind her that he has not forgotten about her. And during so, quiet contemplation and study of, of everything that he's about to be going on, still questioning whether he should be here or not. But when he is not down in the hold with his mare, he actually takes the opportunity to try to spar with anyone who's willing to, because, not for long periods, but it's a good opportunity to practice on uneven footing and, to practice against possibly new opponents, to see what's there and learn different talents, if you will. But
you won't be allowed to spar, but I mean,
maybe
you could
slow work or something.
You could certainly well, without weapons, really. The vampires that are leading this vessel here are they do allow you to indulge in what would be bare knuckle boxing at this point. You're not allowed to kill each other with weapons. Just essentially piss pound each other, because you are going to be in a tight space for a few long days, and as they understand, mortals kind of have that spirit, that light about them that requires that exertion.
Since I'm not necessarily trained in that, I probably don't take part in too much of that, because otherwise I'm going to get trounced and not sleep very well with bruises all over my face and chest area. So,
of course,
I imagine that he takes the time to practice his husbandry. Probably sit down with Fern and Emerus to sharing lore and possibly expanding our knowledge a little bit. Passing the time with tales and stuff like that. He does speak somewhat more. He shares a little more openly of Keolafel and his home, if you'd call it that, his settlement within Grainendir, and that they are a hard people that raise horses, a lot of woodworkers and smiths, and but he touches briefly on the darkness that seems to taint the land of white. He's referring to the snow. So, but that would be what Tane spends his days in, and reveling in the beauty of the journey.
it will be quite beautiful. Actually, you guys will be hugging the coast and getting quite a scenic view of the would really pass as a temperate rainforest in this portion of the world. And on the other side, the almost trackless Iron Mist Sea. Thorn, Amorous Thorn, take us away.
All right. Well, as we've seen thus far, Thorn is a pretty simple man. When he's not learning the ropes or helping out up top on the ship, he will probably be down below with the thralls, if allowed. Not quite sure if we're actually allowed to or not.
With your wanton genitals, you will not be allowed to be down there with them.
He would have held himself back if he was told to.
You are not trustworthy enough to be alone with the women.
All right, fair enough. Fair
It
enough.
is pointed out to you that you are Fae, and the wiles of the Fae are much irresistible to mortal women.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Okay. So in that case, he would actually talk to the sailors on board then, try to learn their history. Not so much the supernatural history, but actually like their history, like where they came from, how long they've been doing the sailor lifestyle, any tidbits of lore from areas he has not been to thus far. Likewise, when he is actually learning on the ship, he will also ask about any stories of the waters, of the oceans, of the creatures that dwell beneath. Basically picking information for more stories, more songs, more music. And on the rare occurrence that he is actually not needed to help, he will be up in either basically somewhere a little bit above the rest of the sailors, just plucking away at the loot, playing a song to help the spirits stay up. If they have to row, he would play to match the rowing. Just something to keep himself occupied, but also hopefully be helpful all at the same time.
Your musical talents are very much appreciated by at least the sailors, any of the vampires or the half breeds on the ship. They are somewhat indifferent. I mean, Fernaleus very much likes your playing, but you're not quite sure what Balinor thinks yet. And Farad is aloof and kind of a douchebag, so he keeps to himself most of the time.
He cares, but he's not going to show that he likes my music. I know how it is.
Oh yeah, he's one of those. I like it, but I'll never admit it.
Right, right.
Which he might be, at least when he was a man in life. He may or may not have been as simple as you. You kind of get that feeling, like not as you who are who whore and wench in each village that you find yourself in, but it's pretty close.
To each their own.
The sailors that you do find are like I said, they're mostly woodmen. There's a handful of them are ebon folk, as in they're city born, and two of which are geats. They will certainly and very willing to talk about themselves. They come from many different scattered woodland villages all throughout this huge rainforest that is mostly trackless and unexplored. The Geats will tell you about basically the songs of their people, which is mostly mountaineering, tundra songs, and worship of the sea. Is quite at least the two that are with you are coastal village folk. They teach you some of the chants that they have for the crushing depths, the sea god. But the city-born folk, they are dime a dozen. There's not much special about them. Ex-thieves that chucked their lot in with their current captors and or masters. You're not certain which at this point.
Right.
Before we go to Fernaleus at for this next scene, one evening, Fernaleus and Thorn are up late. For some reason that your sleep eludes you on this night. Why? You don't know. But you're 7 days out from Maiden's Point, the place that you'll be docking off at. And Farad has been, you've come to find out that it is his want and habit to do what kind of seems like a security sweep of the ship, each floor of the ship, the deck, the brig, the lower hold, he sweeps this 3 times a night. Almost every handful of hours on the hour. He's very calculating. Fernelius, you are up late, probably smoking, and Amorous is probably taking notes on what small bit of paper that you're in the middle of writing a song. The
Always
floor
has
is
small
open to
scraps
you.
of paper to write down people.
Right. The floor is open to you in this scene.
So Fernelius has been, as he's been listening and gathering the information he's hearing from the different conversations that Thorn has been having and that Tane has been having with the crew and the other individuals. And he's been taking that information down and on these wax tablets. Then the evening when it's quiet, he pulls out his few pieces of paper. He chooses what information he wants to actually put to paper, since paper is so precious of a commodity. And ink is as well. So he'll be sitting there at that time, sort of copying in what what he feels is very important. A very, very tight, very small script. Looks almost like just a small squiggly lines. So he's actually writing in Yethite.
There you go. Farad makes his third sweep just before dawn, we'll say. What passes for dawn. And he walks
So
by the... Sorry,
what are
what's
you
that?
doing?
Oh, are you
Yeah, Tane is like,
Tane's actually up now?
well, probably because the, sorry, thinking about it, he's not up yet.
He's not up yet? Oh, okay. Fraud's, again, his garnet-colored eyes kind of glimmer in what's left of the moonlight here as a cloud passes by. He just gives you two a nod as he walks by.
Fernelius will look up and nod back at him.
And he doesn't walk; he stalks. I mean, quite literally, he is a predator on this boat. He hums a hauntingly unsettling tune. It's probably just him, but he hums, and he maybe it's absent-minded. You don't know, but he has a very good singing voice.
Should I make a song check to see if I might know the tune? At least be familiar with it.
Go for it. That would yes, no, that would be something more test.
That is going to be a 14.
You don't know what song it is, but it is a funeral dirge.
I'll hum a few bars myself, sort of trying to set that the notes in my mind.
That's a 21 on the song check.
Ooh, okay. It is a funeral dirge for the maiden at Maiden's Point. You've heard of the song referenced, but you're not. You yourself don't know the words. You've heard of the song. It's what you do know of it. It was a fae woman who resided in the forest, who fell in love with a mortal man, and he went back across the sea. But he promised he'd come back. They had not been married, but not known to her, this mortal had a wife already. So it's about this extramarital affair that this ranger had with a fae woman, and she turned to stone at this place where this village had been founded.
So I don't know the words. Would I know anything of the tune?
We'll say the 6 bars that Farad just hummed to you now, that's the first you've heard. You've heard of the story, but you don't know the tune that goes with the story is what I'm saying. which is probably just as frustrating.
Yeah, it is. It is. Because part of me wants to pick up the loot and start plucking along with his humming, but I don't know anything to continue off of it.
Okay.
Even though Thorn, after he hears him hum, Thorn will begin to pluck, trying to replicate it,
Make me a song test.
and probably get increasingly frustrated with himself because he can't pull it off.
Like maybe like the wind or the rain's bothering you, but it's like God, just I can't get my fingers to answer me right now.
Damn it!
The strings
can
are
count
right
today.
here.
That was a 23.
Do I? Yeah, you. It takes you a little bit, but you're like plunk plunk plunk.
He's gone for
Wait,
a +7 on that skill.
But yeah, I mean, Fernelius, you actually see him like parse this out and go, okay, here we go, and then there's the tune. But that's just that one stanza.
So I start humming along, and I'll look over Thorn as he's plucking it. Are you familiar with that song?
In story only, this is actually the first time I've heard the tune that goes with the story. Is he still close to us, or is he already stalked off?
He's on the other side of the deck, but you can like call to him without rousing the entire ship.
Yeah, I'll wait for him to come back around. But, yeah, no, I'll look at Fern and just say, no, I've heard the story, never knew the words or the actual song to it yet.
Fascinating. So,
Farad gets to the basically gets to the door that goes to below deck, and he'll catch your song. And you actually see him smile. The moonlight glints off his fangs, and he actually stalks over to you. Yeah, he's a fine ear for tunes.
It is, my way of life. I hope I do. Would you be willing to give me the rest of that at some point?
He smiles at you again, very, very unsettling with those long fangs of his. In time, not tonight, but I'll teach you. You should find your bed soon. Dawn will be up in a few hours.
with that,
And Thorn will just kind of give. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
okay. Let's say with that, Fernelius will get up and stretch. And one of the things that you probably had never seen prior to this is Fernelius without his robes. He'd always literally walk around with his robes, this big hooded cloak on his shoulders. His if it was in the daytime, he always had the hood pulled up and pulled down tight over his face to keep his face in shadow as much as possible. Because you didn't know he tends to sunburn quite a bit. But say we've been out at night, he actually has stripped down to his pantaloons, and he's not a large, bulky person, but he definitely has a very sculpted physique. Very powerfully corded muscles, and definitely something you probably wouldn't have thought of being a scholar. He obviously pays attention to his physical fitness quite a bit. What you might have thought would be the rail thin body of someone who forgets to eat because he's constantly writing and such is actually well toned. He picks up his robes where he had been sitting on them, and says, "It's time to get some rest." And walks over toward the gangway down. He's also, just so you know, he's for a person. He's very pretty. So.
Farad is, as you guys are gathering yourself, you actually will see through the grate the brig, or I suppose the hold, where all the rest of the thralls are being kept. In this time period, um, when the thralls were actually purchased, most of them were in rags, or they were naked. They were miserable and filthy. But as soon as they actually were put onto the ship, um, all the ladies had been given baths. They've been given new clothes, actually nice clothes, not like, obviously they're not the clothes or the jewels of nobility or anything, but sturdy, well made and well maintained, like peasants' clothes, and enough furs to keep them warm in the cold. So these thralls are more or less not treated as such. They're quite literally they're free women. As you're gathering your things and retreating downstairs, you see Farad's form stalk actually through their sleeping quarters. Everyone's on cots or in hammocks at this point, and you actually hear him murmur something, and you hear Farad go, "Well then." You actually pause. You see him through the grate. You just see his boots from your angle. You'd have to actually go downstairs and look through the open door to see. But you hear him utter the words, "How did you get here then, my dear?" You actually see him squat. It looks like he's like gets down. What do you
Cornelius's
do?
Cornelius's curiosity will get the better of him. He'll try to be quiet, not so as not to disturb them, and take a few steps on the stairs and see if he can see who he's talking to.
Yeah, you can peer down the hallway peer around the corner, around the stairway, and into this doorway. There's a little girl in there that he's actually squat down to get about eye level with, maybe who's like 9 cycles old at most, and she's filthy. She's in rags. The rest of the ladies aren't. And the little girl murmurs something, but you don't hear. And Farad says a couple more things, and he actually holds his hand out to her, and she puts her little hand in his huge, terrifyingly cold, clawed hand, and he actually just kind of like rubs her hand a little bit, like almost like very comfortingly, and he just kind of leans over and he kisses her on the cheek, and she collapses. And but as she is about to fall over, he like snatches her up by her rags with his other clawed hand, just like up onto his shoulder. She's dead to the world, and this little girl kind of like snores a little bit, and he just kind of like stands, and he turns, and the light coming through the grate bounces off of his red eyes. I need Fernelius to actually make a self-control test, please, because that is the most terrifyingly horrible thing you've ever looked upon in your life. This is a fear effect.
Self-control. 22.
22. Wow. Well done. So you're able to like
I actually
keep
got
it.
self-control.
Yes, you do. Fantastic. You yeah. It's good that this party has a lot of self-control and meditation. Yeah, so you're able to keep it together without peeing your pantaloons and filling your drawers there. But you do tense up there, and I mean Amorous, standing behind you on the steps. You see this. in these few seconds, what is going through your collective brains? Let's hear it.
Well, Fernleus is looking at this. He knows, obviously, that Farad is a vampire, and he knows that from the lore that vampires feed upon human blood. So he basically, his mind is trying to rationalize and make it less terrifying by understanding. He thinks to himself, it's very well known to him, the wolves and such that live in the forest around in the mountain passes and such, and around the city of Feldport. They'll take a fawn in preference to a full-grown deer. He knows that it's one of the delicacies that he is himself has fed upon in Feldport was the flesh of the lamb, because it's much more tender and much more flavorful than a full-grown sheep. So he's rationalizing in his head that why would vampires be different? But I mean, he is he's a little uncomfortable, but at the same time, it's like okay. Yes, this is what it is, and he'll very quietly sort of creep back up the steps, hopefully not being noticed by the predator.
What is Thorn's reaction to this?
Well, to be completely honest, with how aloof he has been, and
Kind of
considering all the other thralls that they've had and all the other people that's come aboard, when he sees him kneel down, his first thought is, well, this is either something really bad or something really important. Because why else would he actually take time to stop and kneel and talk to this person and say, how'd you get here? Upon seeing that it was a little girl, his brain would actually consciously jump to, possibly wrong place, wrong time. Possibly, maybe he has a soft spot for children, and just, how'd you get roped into the whole, the whole thraldom anyway. Seeing that look, though, if I see the look, I'm assuming we both saw the look.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Fernleus was closer, and that's why I didn't have you actually roll for it. You got a glimpse. He was right there.
Right. Seeing that, part of him kind of gets wary, like, oh crap, that's a full-fledged vampire, and that's the look of hunger. But at the same time, every time he's seen the vampires had some semblance of that look. So he's kind of torn between, is this the next meal? Is this a protective look? Is this just a pissed off and we're going to go tear off someone's limb look? Like,
He's not quite sure.
it actually sends a torrent of possibilities going through his mind, so to speak. He's not quite sure what to make of it, but until something goes downhill, he's trying to be the whole glass half full type.
Okay. All right. When Fernleus goes to try and back up, he backs up the stairs. There's another body there behind you both that you hadn't noticed. You immediately turn around. There's actually Oromond is actually standing there. He goes, "What are you two doing up this late, huh?"
Fernleus is going to just smile broadly and say, "We were just checking in on the thralls. We heard a noise. So,
Oh.
all is fine, though."
At the bottom of the stairs, Farad appears in the doorway with a little girl sleeping on his arm, on his shoulder. Orman's eyes go a little wide, and he says, "Why is there a little girl in the hold?" And Farad goes, I do not know. I did not purchase these thralls at this time." And then he kind of glares. They kind of glare at each other. And Orman says, "Well, I suppose Balinor was not paying attention to the age of the thralls at this time. We'll have words with him." There's kind of like a few really super awkward moments as as these two are looking at each other. Wish to interject something.
Ernest is going to sort of look at the child in Farad's arms and back up to Orman and look down and says, that was the noise I heard.
Ormond kind of murmurs to him in the doorway, "Tell me you are not going to feed upon her." And Farad just kind of, it's just that there was a flash of brilliance in his eyes for a few moments as he gives you three the blackest look. He says, "Of course not. She's too young." And he just kind of like readjusts her, and like her arm kind of like falls limp. She's sleeping good. He's dreaming in HD. Whatever he did to her, she's...
Well, I'll say one
Poor
thing.
dear needs a bath, if anything.
I will say one thing Fernandez has learned over the past, 10 days or so of sailing is not to just allow his thoughts to go from mind directly to mouth, which is something he was at one point was sort of known to do. He starts to actually put voice to his theory about the idea of the lamb and the flesh being more tender and blah blah, but he stops himself at the last second and just clamps his mouth shut, thinking that's probably not the best thing to say at this moment. And he sort of flattens himself against or goes against the side of the stairs and motions for Farad to continue doing what to continue on with the child. He says that she needs to be taken care of.
So this vampire will with his charge on sleeping on his shoulder will walk off down the hallway if no one will actually accost him or address him.
Well, Thorn was going to bring up a point. So we saw all the other thralls, and they were dressed nicely. They were cleaned up and everything.
Oh,
and then
yeah.
we have this girl who still looks as ratty as the day they probably plucked her out of an alleyway.
Yep. She looks
Thorn
like a
would-
street urchin, a very young, very filthy, sickly street urchin.
Thorn would look to those two and say, who was in charge of cleaning them up? Because is there a chance she's a stowaway? Because if someone went to clean up the rest of them, how come she wasn't taken care of then?
Maybe she was hiding. Maybe she was snuck out among the others because some woman down below is her mother or sister.
Farad, he's partway down the hallway. He turns and he just kind of like, it kind of comes off as like a rasping growl, and he says, "Perhaps she was mixed in with this lot." And he kind of like points at the doorway to for the thrall room. And because her mother or her sister is still in the thrall pen back in the city, or she's a poor dear, and he actually kind of turns, kind of like putting his lips into her hair. He goes, "Oh, it'll be all right, my dear. None of this wretched lot will have you. I think," and he looks up to the stairs at Orman. He goes, "I think she should be handed over to Ophira." She should know what to do with her. And she has a penchant for broken and lost things.
Is it possible I've heard that name before?
You have heard the name Ophira on this boat, and but you have not met her. Allegedly,
Okay.
she is here, but no one has seen her.
Okay.
She resides in the captain's quarters. No one is allowed in there but the vampires.
Understood. So Fernleus is going to notice, is going to, at this point, he wants desperately to know more. But, as I said, he's learned the hard way that there are times you do not ask questions, and this seems to be a very tense time between these two. So at this moment, he feels
Keith,
like a...
Keith,
Yes.
just for me, please poke the
Yes.
badger. Please do it.
Okay.
That's sarcastic. You don't have to if you don't want to.
Okay. Actually, there is what I was going to continue on doing, but the reason he desperately wants to know is because of the words Farad just spoke. She has an eye for the broken, the castaway. And he thinks to himself, he almost internalizes that, and for a moment he takes a step toward Farad. A question on his lips. He actually says, it comes out, "Dare I?" As if he's asking himself. And then he realizes he spoke. And he looks at Farad and says, "I apologize. My thoughts were once again streaming from my brain to my lips."
He stops in the darkness, actually. And he turns very fucking creepy and very slow.
Mm-hmm.
Should you dare?
You said that Ophira, she has a desire for those who are broken, those who are cast out. Yes, those who are left
It is
behind.
a strange hobby of hers.
I would very much like to meet her. He
Sounds
just
like a
flat
good
says
plan in the
it.
making.
Just flat out. I would very much like to meet her.
Really?
Yes. He's
Let me
also
ask
looking
you
at way.
this, then.
He has in his eyes, he has it, and it might actually strike Farad as very odd. He has a longing in his eyes. But he's not looking at Farad, he's looking at the girl. Because the way the Farad, the supposed undead thing that is, if it ever had a shred of humanity, may have died some long time before, is treating this child better than his own mother treated him.
Ah, he's jealous.
He's, in a way, yes.
He's jealous.
Yes.
That's that's not quite what he's feeling.
Yeah.
But he's jealous.
He feels yes. There's a jealousy there, but it's not the not the green jealousy of pure envy. It's more of the wistful jealousy of, I wish I had that.
I can't remember the term, because there's a term specifically for that. I can't remember what it is right now. He Amra says
Longs that type of compassion.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. That beautiful. Thank you. But Farad actually looks down the hallway past Fernaleus and at that comment about music. Come. I will go find her for you.
Much appreciated.
Farad actually kind of marches down that hallway, maybe a little louder than he probably needs to. He has a very determined walk, and he can make himself as deathly quiet as he wants. But you hear the Tane actually hears the kind of like the thunk of his open-toed boots, his sandals kind of wrapped in furs, just outside your cabin's door. If Tane is light enough sleeping in his sleep cycle, coming out of like REM sleep with that cycle there, he might be awoken by this, with murmuring out in the hallway.
And what time of night is it? Is it almost
Jesus.
dawn?
No, this is 3:15, 3 o'clock in the morning.
Okay.
Is a disgusting time to be awake in the middle of the night.
So he's gonna roll out of bed and crack the door open.
You see your companions there. Ormond is, however, he's disappeared. I have no idea.
Fernleus is half naked and has a look of joy in his eyes as he follows Farad with a small child in his arms.
Small blonde geet child at that.
What
Who is
is the
filthy.
nature of this foal?
And Farad simply turns and just says, we speculate that she was mixed in amongst the thralls, and I have discovered her just now, and we're taking her to the Mistress Ophira.
He gets a very serious look and says, "For what purpose?"
Ophira has a love of broken and lost things, and this one is filthy. She will fawn all over her.
And Fernleus is grinning from ear to ear at those comments. And oddly enough, his canines are somewhat prominent as well. Mainly because Fernleus almost never grins.
He's got almost a permanent frown on his face, from what I understand.
This seems odd. I look over at Emerus and say, "Is everything all right?"
He's just going to kind of shrug. He has his loot back out. At the moment, yes. We're trying to figure out how she got mixed in, because it seems that it had a particular age bracket they were going for when they found the thralls, and she does not mix in with that.
I'm accompanying them.
Yeah,
So
Farad is
anything-
just looking at the three of you, a little increasingly annoyed look on his face, like, we're supposed to be going somewhere, gentlemen.
I'll reach.
I'm still walking while I'm talking, so.
Oh,
Fern-
so they've started to leave. They're assuming you're coming with, Tane.
Yeah, I'm gonna throw my cloak over my shoulder and wrap my
Thorn heard about possible new music, so he's kind of like, "Oh, look, Beeline."
Oh, I've got a place to be.
Yeah,
Let me
it
start
kind of
tuning the
falls
loot
on me.
again. Hold on.
So Farad actually leads you into the bowels of this ship up to where like the captain's quarters would be, which you have to go down. Actually, go down into the brig, across, and then back up. It's only like a rear entry only, cabin's quarters, and you get to the top of the stairs. And it's very beautifully wood carved doors, and he unceremoniously he just like kicks the door twice with the toe of his boot, and then like opens it, which you then see a woman lounging on a bed with her back towards you. She's not wearing any clothes, gentlemen. And has a very breathtaking hindquarters, we'll put it that way. She has a kind of like a sea cascading down her back of kind of like chestnut colored hair, and she kind of like peeks over her shoulder, and she is gorgeous with a with 8 grades of allure there. Clearly she is a vampire mistress of the highest order, And she turns around fully, and not really doing much to cover herself up because she doesn't care. This is her room. Farad kind of pulls his hood back, which you finally actually get to see his face and his hair. Farad, just like as in life, he was clean shaven, and he had coal black hair in life, just like an ebon folk of the woodland. But he's got a stray few freckles sprayed across his face. The woodmen tend to have they don't tan in the sun; they freckle. But he kind of murmurs to her, "I found." He kind of looks at you two, or say you three, and I don't know if she's a stowaway, but she is clearly not of the thralls. Perhaps one of the mortal women mixed her in. I thought you might like to have a look and take her under your vast wing, my mistress." And he walks over to what would be kind of like what would pass as like a cushioned bench, and lays this geetish child across it, and he reaches over for a like a wolf pelt, and like drapes it across her. He kind of like, it's really alien to see a vampire lord kind of like tuck a little girl in and make sure she's all like snuggled up and everything. And her face lights up. Ophira, she smiles a very winning, very beaming smile, and she's got a nice pair of fangs on her now too. And she says, "Is this these three?" She pauses for a few moments. "Sellswords that we've taken on from the city?" As she turns that winning smile on the three of you, and with a, oh my goodness, with a 23 on the allure test, she's gonna use those blue eyes on you.
With that, Fernandez is going to sort of straighten his shoulders, step a little bit straighter. He was sort of leaning forward a little bit while observing this whole. I mean, regardless of her nudity, he's used to that. That's like home. He did force allow his eyes to trail across the beauty because he does appreciate such. But when she says sell swords, at first he's, "What? I'm not a sell sword. I'm a scholar." And he almost took offense at it until she looked and smiled at him, and then it was like, yes.
Oh yeah, you can call me whatever.
Whatever you wish. So he sort of smiles, and the his umbriad half is somewhat coming to the fore, if you will. He says, he blurts it out, "I am Fernandez, milady." And he gives a bit of a bow at his waist, somewhat self-consciously. He's still stripped down to the waist.
When you tell her your name, she kind of gets a little shocked look on her face. Like her eyes go wide, her gorgeous garnet-colored eyes. Yeah, and you could get lost in them as well. She stands. She goes, "Oh, you poor thing." And she kind of like throws like a sheet wrap around her for whatever modesty she had left in her mortal life. And she walks across the room to you, and she puts her hand on your face. Her hand is warm. And she looks very, very sympathetically. And she just goes, "Dead baby, that's terrible."
This is the name my mother gave me.
Your mother called you dead baby. That's, and she's
Yes.
like, she's like a little hurt, like, oh.
he sort of his eyes emotion just sort of flows across his face. He says, she calls me that because she does, as she says, she does not want to get too attached to the experiment.
Experiment?
Well, I believe my mother is, well, she has been described by others as being somewhat touched by the Fae. Her 200 cycles gone, she lay with he sort of motions towards towards Farad, a man like you, because
Oh, surely she did not have a tumble in the sheets with our dear Farad here. She would.
No, not
even
Farad
walk
himself. I
again.
don't
That
think
She
would-
rutted Farad?
I don't think so.
He's-
Is Farad's hair red?
No, it's
Okay.
coal black.
No, he says no. I don't believe so. I believe the only thing she's actually telling about him is that his hair was the color of the dawn. Red, I believe, was the color she said, or that his hair had the flame in it. But yes, I was the result of that, and I'm not sure if she left him and returned home or if he left her. But either way, she has been fascinated with your kind since before my birth, and she has studied me, has observed me and my actions since then. So,
she turns that cocked eyebrow quizzical expression to Farad, and he just goes, he shrugs. He's damn lucky he's not my spawn. And she just stares at him with this. I don't know how to process this. Mortals do this with the look on her face.
not normally. Most Umbriad women are very very loving toward their children of mixed heritage. I'm not sure why my mother's the way she is with me. My brothers and sisters, she's very affectionate with, but me, she's always kept at arm's length.
Well, that is a horrible thing. Well,
It is something I can't change.
Well, luckily she is not here to treat you more poorly. She addresses the other two, and you two are also scribes as opposed to sellswords?
Far different from being such a scribe. I have a higher calling.
Farad kind of interjects. Tane is a shaman of the horse god.
Agiun, she's so much more than just a horse god.
Now, that's why I've been smelling horse on this ship for the past chain.
It's wondrous, isn't it? It's like freedom.
She
Speaking of
crinkles
which,
her nose.
May I, would you mind if I inspect the Geet child?
But she's sleeping.
She seems to be sleeping very soundly. I do not wish to wake her. I just wish to check her person for wounds.
Farad is actually standing near to where she's actually sleeping, and he actually glares at you
I glare back at him,
evilly.
evilly. I return it. I only wish for the child's well-being.
And he would assume
If
that
the
I
wolf
don't.
would... I did not imply anything. If you read into that, you simply read into that. It is not of my concern. I simply wish to check the health of the child.
He looks down, he points with his long shit fingernail.
I walk up and
she
sort of
breathes.
politely move him out of the way.
Oh, he does not move. If you go up and you touch him, we
I kind of give him that look like I need some space.
he does not move. He is a statue standing there.
You're gonna make this as difficult as it needs to be, as it doesn't need to be.
As I see this developing, I say, Farad, truly, Tane is a gentle man. He just wishes to make sure the child is safe.
You said you'd never speak of that night.
And Fern says, "Damn it, I did it again."
He just furrows his brow and glares at all of you in the room. Don't touch her.
And this is why I drink and play music.
Ophira pipes up. Oh, music.
So I look pleadingly at Ophira. Mistress,
She looks at you.
check the health of the child. Can you call off your wolf, please?
Wolf.
I can think of worse things to say. I mean, he is a predator, right?
Well, so is she.
Right.
She's kind of like.
Should I make a persuasion roll?
No. It's fine. I got this for you, man. You'll like this better.
Okay.
She actually just kind of like rolls her eyes and she goes, Farad, and then she makes an utterance of the shadow speech. The three of you take a point of vitality damage.
Yeah. And I kind of mumble under my breath, don't be a horse's cock.
And then he says something back in shadow speech.
Oh, God.
What are they saying?
You don't know.
I speak shadow speak.
Well, it has no information that is being transmitted. You speak it, but you don't know what you're saying.
It's more like a hiss. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought I knew it.
Kind of like parcel tongue. Like parcel tongue in the
They're grumbling in shadow speech is what he's saying. They're just grumbling.
So that's 2 points of shadow. 2 points of vitality damage here, and he groans and he actually steps to the side. And I will have you know, like the torchlight that was in this room actually flickered when they talked, like it was about to go out.
Fernleus is actually holding his head at this moment.
Oh yeah, you got the shit wrung out of your bell. Farad stands aside, but he gives you the evilest, the blackest look.
Farad, you said you would show me the rest of that song. How about we do that?
He's well, he actually starts to like explain it to you in shadow speech, but he actually stops.
No.
He stops it, and which is.
I would like to not die in this cabin as we talk tonight, please. Thank you.
That's 3 points, by the way.
Give me a stroke.
I think Fernleus already had a stroke.
I can't play my lute with only one arm. I'm not that good yet.
I'm going to look at the two of them, between the two of them, and politely gesture and just say, for the sake of the moment, I would ask, at least for the health of the child and the health of your sellswords as we are, please refrain from the shadow speech. Thank you. And he's not being threatening.
Yes.
He's being polite and gentle.
Oh yeah, I get you. But no, that's an apothecary test. Is what you're looking at.
All right, I'm gonna.
Oh no, I froze. Did I froze? I froze.
You
OBS
froze,
doesn't
but
like you.
we're
I
hearing
am
you.
focused.
You
Okay, I
unfroze.
want to make sure.
Your screen is going gray for a few moments, and then you're coming back. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, I noticed that too.
Dave, go for it.
Okay.
Oh, Keith, you there?
16.
16. Yeah, she's dreaming in
I'm
HD.
still here. I'm still here. I'm just
Oh.
adjusting some stuff real quick.
Okay, perfect. No, with that test, she's dreaming in HD. There's nothing wrong with her. She looks filthy. She could be sick with like common cold or something like that, but she's not bleeding. She's not bruised up. She's not been abused. She's just tired and very winded.
Okay. And probably a little damage from all the verbal violence that's going around.
I will say that her fingernails are actually black, which, as you would know, is kind of advanced stages of shadow sickness. Like her fingernails and the tips of her fingers are starting to turn like a charcoal, and like the step beyond that is your tears turning to ink. But it's early on shadow sickness is what this is anymore.
Yeah. So the two of you actually see him. If you're watching him, he lifts up her hands and he begins inspecting. He lifts the finger up and takes something from his pouch that looks like a ear spoon, and he sort of scrapes it underneath the nail. So scrapes it again. Rubs his hand across it to see if it'll smudge it.
It'll smudge.
But it doesn't remove it.
No.
And I can tell by looking at it that that's a given, right?
Yep.
Okay. And I set her hands back down and lay her in a resting. She may be in the right place, I kind of say to myself. And actually, as I'm walking past Fernaleus and Thorn, I say, she may be in the right place. She is well on her way. Unfortunately. I'm sure they probably heard me, but
Oh yeah. With that, Farad will actually lead the three of you out into the hallway. And he'll just kind of mutter to Thorn, I suppose I teach you that song in the morning.
Okay.
But
It sucks, but okay.
we have plenty of time to be teaching songs. As I understand, you'll probably be with us for some time here. You walk down the hallway, and he leaves you at the door to your cabin. And
Do I have a chance to play for her because she seemed pretty excited?
You guys kind of left it with that awkward situation there. You'll have time to play for her again sometime. Likely not tonight.
Oh, no, of course.
With that, we will change scenes. I would like Fernaleus to have his soliloquy before we reconvene to Maiden's Point. Keith, you with us?
Yes,
yeah,
I
we just can't see you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, just having some minor camera issues. So I'm going along as we can.
Cool.
So one of the very first things upon boarding this ship and setting sail, Fern Leas has never been to sea, so he adjusts slowly. First couple of days, he experiences the seasickness and whatnot, but after a bit, he learning and seeing what the sailors and such are doing. He constantly asks questions, and of course he's giving what information he's heard of before and the lore he's heard, and that's when he finds out that not everyone is necessarily as open to that as he's been used to among academics. It turns out that people who know practical things are not fond of, as one person says, a sniveling scroll worm telling him what his job is. So he starts not speaking as freely as he had before, but he also takes that in stride and actually goes back a few hours later to the one older sailor and actually asks him, "Can you teach me how to do this?" And more than just a way as I've read it. And he starts actually pitching in with the crew and learning from them how to do this, how to operate the sails, he actually takes his turn at the oars even. And just starts his inquisitive mind starts picking things up and learning as he can. And in the few quiet times they have, the restful times they have, he actually sings a few songs for them, because he does. That's one of the things he does. He's picked up songs and such because very often other cultures have passed down their lore in song, and he learns sea shanties from them, and probably teaches Thorn a few of those, and he gets an accompaniment up on the lute from time to time for entertainment and such. But the entire time, of course, every time he sees Fern, or every time he sees he is Fern, sorry. Every time he sees Farad, he watches him like just as if his eyes are drinking every emotion that this man makes, every word he says, sort of studying to see if he can actually see what the differences are between him and Farad. And same thing with Balinor. He of course, when he has quiet moments with Balinor, he talks to him about the differences, the being required to have the blood with food, otherwise having the problems that come along with it. The inability to process the food, and the horrible aftermath of such. And he pretty much, that's the majority of his time he spends. It's actually a very free time for him, because he's not he's not learning things from a scroll or from a tablet. He's learning things from actually seeing it and actually experiencing it. Something he finds very new and refreshing.
Beautiful. So we will fast forward the remaining 6.5 days. You drop anchor at Maiden's Point, and you do see that that standing stone that is quite mournfully paired with that tune. In this time, Farad has taught you all 4 of these stanzas of the Tale of the Maiden from Maiden's Point. It's very, very mournful, very, very sad tune, and it seems to be a very popular tune amongst many of the vampires that Farad is associated with. You guys get off of the ship now. The population of Maiden's Point is about 130 to 140 people. It's men, women, and children. And there is a small river open to the sea that goes deeper into the forest. you're given 3 days of rest here to stretch your legs, and there's a trading post here should you wish to fill your packs with provisions or find anything of note that you wish to buy here. I will open the scene to you. Ophira, however, you will find her in what kind of resembles like a Viking longhouse. She is not she's not the mistress of this village. She is simply one of the higher ranking vampires of this community, and from what you understand, the mortals that live in live at Maiden's Point are favored, I think is the word that you might use, by such nightmarish entities of undeath. And they're more accustomed to, less afraid of the undead, which might sound incredibly alien to your outside ears and your minds. The floor is yours, gentlemen.
Fernleus is going to probably ask Balinor to go with him and ask him if they've been here before. First off,
Balinor replies, "Oh, of course, this is the only way to Miserine."
so do they have a butcher here?
Oh, they have what our kind needs. Yes.
I think we need to procure some of that. And I wonder what tales we
he
told
points to like a column of wagons. There's like a dozen of them, and he points to those barrels. He goes, "They have what we need."
Ah, finally. And he says that it's almost like finally civilization. Um, so he's always had to sort of sneak around and have butchers that were discreet to be able to get what he needed from them. So it's refreshing that there's a place he can go to and just get what he needs. And he looks over at Thorn and Angus with a sort of smile on his face. He's liking this place more and more.
That's why I asked you to come, to be amongst your own kind.
It is refreshing.
Kind of looks expectantly at you at that, like, oh, yeah, dude, come on.
He takes a step as if to go with Balinor and stops and turns back to his friends. He says, "Come along."
I'm taking her out for a ride. She needs to stretch her legs.
It's very smart. It has been, 20 full days. Poor thing. Thorn?
I'm actually going to look at Balinor and ask him to point me in the direction of the nearest tavern.
He points to she points to the longhouse that that Ophira has actually been in these past 48 some odd hours, we'll say.
I'll look at Fernleus and say, I'm going to go play, see if I can't pick up some more local information and see if I can get some extra coin.
Balinor replies with this, I don't know how loose these people will be with their coins, but they will be more loose with their coins than with the information. This village is quite secluded, and you understand why.
Well, truth be told, if I get them to smile from my music, everything else is just a bonus.
He just kind of gives you, all right. That's good. Farad comes down the pathway, and he looks to Tane. Be sure that you do not get lost in the forest on your ride. You might not come out alive. Just be
Good
sure
advice.
that some of those trees have teeth,
So is there any area that I should avoid? Or is that part of the fun?
Well, she kind of turns and looks at the tree line and he says, that may be part of the fun. You're a capable fighter, are you not?
Yes. I don't want to break my arm with complimenting myself, but I do fairly well. She'll find her way, and I pat her on the head.
All right.
Thank you for the advice, Darkwing.
And then he just kind of like smirks and he bows with kind of a flourish there.
For a split second, Tane almost thinks to pat him on the head, but he didn't think that would be a good idea.
That'll get you killed.
Right. But it is a shamanic thing. I mean, it's like when people are being nice, they're, you know.
That'd be a whole flurry of shadow speech that none of us are going to survive.
Yeah,
Right.
no, he'll unleash a diatribe and you'll just die
But he
right
shares
there.
the thought with his mare, and as he leaps onto her back and just
She snorts.
stretches her legs, you know, and lets her take the lead because she's been cooped up for so long. So he just takes her out for stretching and so on. While I'm at it, I might as well just try to get a sense of where I'm at. So wild lore?
Go for it.
Not too crazy, but I got a wild lore. Yeah, a total of 9.
Yeah, you're outside the Ebon Vale, but you have no idea how far. It's a stretch of coastline that you're obviously not familiar with.
So I'm not going to go too far, but I'm going to let her, open up and stretch her legs out and so on.
Okay. How long are you gone?
How long does she want to go out?
Well, roll me 2d8. We'll see. That's how many hours you're gone.
Oh. I don't know if that's going to be. That's a little too long.
How
12
long is it?
hours?
12 hours. Well, I'll say half of that. Well, you go out for a 6-hour jaunt.
Okay. See if there's any apothecary roots out there.
You can go for wild lore. Yeah, that's natural gardens, finding wild edibles and stuff like that.
It's a total of a 12.
12. Yeah, you find a few herbs that'll actually supplement your healing poultices that you would need for tending the wounded. But yeah, you can find enough for 2 of those.
Excellent. All right, so I'm going to spend time doing that.
Back to Fernaleus then. Where does he go?
He is actually going to follow Valinor and sort of be the puppy at his heels, if you will, since he's among his own kind, as they say.
Well, what you will find is Valinor will kind of give you like the 3-penny tour of the village. He brings you to a temple dedicated to the Silent Monolith, to Lekra, and the Crushing Depths there. And by temple, I mean it's an overhang with 3 shrines in it. That's basically what it is. He brings you to. Oh, sorry, Keith, go for it.
Say, Fernleus will actually have one of his wax tablets out with his stylus. He'll be taking some quick notes of that because he's never actually seen a temple of Lekra.
Oh yeah, no. Oh shit. Well, he's in for a treat because I'm pretty sure anyone who's followed the channel has seen the channel tag my statue of Lekra. That's pretty much a staple for any temple or shrine. Um, he brings Fernaleus to what would be kind of like a kind of like a storage room slash kind of like a trading post kind of thing. It's their general store or what passes for it.
At the market,
Yeah,
basically. That little village market.
Right.
Okay.
But it's all under one roof.
Okay.
There is there's a cluster of huts and or houses made out of wood or animal furs. A couple species of animals you're not familiar with, but
He'll stop and ask somebody what furs those are. If he sees something he doesn't understand, he'll stop and ask somebody about what it is.
Cave bear, forest mammoth.
Wow. Okay. So he'll probably pause for a bit and ask them to describe what they are and take notes about it and stuff like that.
He brings you to finally to the large hall. There is a kind of a chieftain in there that's actually speaking to Ophira. The chieftain is a woodman there. He's a bit tall. He may or may not be crossed with a geet somewhere in his line, but his hair is actually flaxen, which kind of betrays his heritage. Clearly, he's mixed blood. But that Thorn will be probably settling into play. He's got a small crowd of people.
With that, then I guess Fern will probably make his way over to that little crowd of people with Thorn and wait for a set. And then he said that Ophira is here, right? She's
Oh yeah.
Okay.
It's very hard to miss her. She is the prettiest one and the most lavishly dressed one in the room.
Well, when Thorn comes to know of his songs, Fern's going to try to catch his eye and say, "Hey, let's do one of the songs that I sing." He's gonna.
Thorn will basically give a nod, and he'll do a nice little fadeaway, and then pick it right up into whatever Fern starts singing with, and he'll just adapt the tune to whatever he's singing.
And Fern will start singing a song he actually learned from the Dusk Fair folk there in the alley there outside of Fellport about seeing that there's he'd heard the tale now of this maiden here. He'll sing the maiden of the alley there, the one that has the statue in front of the one inn. I'll launch into that tune. So,
well done.
And as the part of the song goes to describe the beauty of the maid, he'll be looking right at Ophira.
Oh, all right. We'll see what goes there. Okay.
17 on the song.
Oh, very, very nice. What's Thorn's song test for this one?
It'll be an 18.
18. All right, fantastic. She at the very beginning seems a little bit indifferent. But as soon as you both start to harmonize, she takes notice. She keeps her interest and her enjoyment very guarded, but she does not let that betray her sense, or her expression. But she does listen intently. Well, I will give you that much. How long is this set?
How's the crowd looking?
Make me a premonition test.
Do I have premonition?
You need premonition for reading the crowd, man. Do it.
I got 1 rank in it.
Hey, man, you can use it. You can use it. That's fine. Without a penalty.
That's a 16.
16. You both. Yeah. The crowd is very much. They're very much enjoying themselves. It's a new song, new music. But they're not like drooling over you, of course.
Right. I mean, you probably play for at least an hour or 2.
Okay.
If they pick up, or if they seem like they don't want him to come down, he'll stay up longer. If it seems like they're starting to get bored of him, he'll kind of cut it short, type of ideal.
We'll say
Very
your
much
hour
pandering
runs its
to the
course,
local crowd, yes.
then. Okay. All right.
Something Thorn may notice, by the way, Fernlius has never actually asked, saying you usually have to go into doing it.
Pull it out.
Right, yeah. So Fernlius is actually wanting to sing, which Thorn would kind of be like, huh, he is
Yeah.
coming out of his shell then.
And he also got up there without his hood pulled up over his head, as if he's trying to hide.
We'll say your set goes and runs its course for about 45, 50 minutes. We'll say just shy of an hour.
All right.
As the people disperse from the chieftain's hall and kind of like go back about their day. The chieftain leaves. He has other meetings that he needs to attend to, but Ophira kind of mingles with the other like ladies in the hall, if you will. Like obviously she knows these people, but she's chatting.
So yeah, Fernlius, when he's not after the songs and such are over, he'll of course get a drink, and if there's any food there available, he'll probably go off to the side and he'll eat and try to sort of conceal him sipping from his flask. He's still sort of self-conscious about that a bit.
You are actually given, when you ask for a drink, you're actually given a mead horn of blood.
Okay. Oh. He sort of smiles at that. He says, "Do you have any wine, or something similar to wine?"
They point over to a few casks hanging in a few nets suspended from the ceiling there.
Do they have any? Do they have any tapped, or is it open barrel that you could dip out of?
Yeah, there's an open barrel there. Yeah.
Okay. We go and try to find another cup or something to get a bit of that and pour it into the blood as well, because he's not used to drinking straight blood. So he wants a little something with it. So he does that, and
he wants a cocktail, not
yeah.
Meat. He likes his blood in a cocktail.
Yeah, he likes his Bloody Mary a little more merry than the bloody. But he still has to have it all in there. So yeah, he does that, and he'll take a long pull from it, and he'll sort of he's still sort of self-conscious about doing that, because as I said, he's always had to sort of conceal that, but he's noticing that no one's paying him any mind about doing it. So
yeah, no, these people are if they're it's alien and unsettling what the culture shock here is. They're used to vampires being in their midst. It's super weird.
I'll walk over to Thorn and sort of lean over to him and say, "There's something odd about this group. Take a drink."
I mean, it's a foreign shore. I don't quite know what their normalcy is here, so to speak. So
I I sort of pulled the meat horn over to him and said, "They just gave me this. It's stronger than I'm used to." So it's obviously mead mixed with blood. Of course, you've known about Fernleas's deal about the blood thing for a while. So,
Right.
so I didn't have to ask for it.
I mean, Thornwood, he kind of give a look and he look over the room and he kind of like remember the crowd. It's like, well, I believe it's more commonplace here. And if it's more commonplace here than it is where we're from, it kind of stands the reason that they would be a little bit more accustomed to giving you what you need.
It is very good. By the way, this is just a question for our overseer of the game.
Oh,
Is there anything different about this blood than what I'm used to?
What you normally find, having been living in Felport, the blood that you get it has always been non-human.
Right. Pork or lamb or sheep.
Right, like
whatever
anything was being processed in the back room.
Right.
Someone gets you a cup of that and then it comes back out. The flagon, not the flagon, the horn that you're holding is actually, you can taste the difference. It is a person's blood.
Here's a good question.
Your palate isn't trained enough to, you can tell, oh, that's like an Umbreon blood that's about 200 years old.
Yeah,
you're not like that.
Does it taste more potent to me than the normal stuff? Is it more heady? Is it more, I don't know, just more vibrant, I guess, is the question. Is it just the same as any other blood?
It's more fragrant, and you're describing blood here. I kind of want to describe the alcohol, like it's got a very fruity bouquet and it's smooth. No, it's fragrant as an irony blood, and it's smooth like your like the mead you're drinking, but you're not sure if it's just the mead that's the smooth part.
Like it sort of almost goes down a little easier.
Right. It's certainly more filling for you.
Okay, good to know. He'll sort of sit back and he'll take another drink, grab some fruit or whatever off of a plate nearby, put it in his mouth, and he sort of almost offhandedly says, "I don't think this is animal blood." He takes another sip.
I'm not a connoisseur, so I have to kind of let you take the lead on that. If that's what you say, that's what you say. And I mean, maybe they just do it differently over here.
I wonder if they have like an occasional like ritual bloodletting or something like that, or if they're actually, I don't know. He takes another sip, and you can tell this is his scholarly side sort of popping out the way he used to would sort of just say things. He says, "I wonder if they have like a ritual bloodletting every so often, or if they slaughter their enemies, or I don't know." He takes another drink. He says, "But it's good."
I will say you're about halfway done with that horn. You're not hungry anymore. You're like full.
He'll put down the half-eaten piece of fruit off the side and sort of sit back and enjoy that fullness.
So in the interim, it'll be several hours until Tane comes back from his afternoon ride. I suppose, according to the clock, he'll come back about an hour and change after dusk. Out there in the forest, it's actually quite oppressive, and it's been raining out there off and on, as a rainforest is wont to do. But you come back to the mead hall, as it were. Ophira is still has been chatting kind of on and off with the other women of the village, and you come back to your companions, just kind of lounging there. Fernaleus is not yet a bloated tick, but he is lounging on a cushioned bench, and Thorn is probably still trying to piece together another couple tunes in his head, trying to write another song.
If I'm not actively playing, but there's still people around, he will probably start asking if anyone has requests or has something they haven't heard before that they would like to hear. Once again, as told, just to hold pandering to the local audience to get what they want out of the night.
Okay. It's kind of a slow night in the mead hall. This is more a public gathering space for the village. They don't have a tavern, unfortunately. It's not big enough for that. But for the past about 6 hours, you've been on and off kind of playing, resting, relaxing, playing again when Tane returns to us.
Yeah, I would imagine that Tane walks up and wraps the reins around a tree or out front, and then comes inside and asks for a plate of vegetables and some refreshing drink. Dark, like a oatmeal.
One of the poor girls mistakes you for one of them, and brings you over a mead horn full of blood, and then she, as soon as you like take it, she's, oh no, excuse me, that's not for you, and then she like takes it, she snatches it away from you, and she walks over to Farad, who's actually sitting in a chair, kind of like just off to the side in the shadows. He takes this meat from her. She brings you over your thick, dark pottage there, full of oatmeal.
Very good.
You catch Farad's eye, and he just kind of like holds up the mead horn to you, and then he sips.
I hold up and take a big drink, and then take my.
Fernaleus sees a toast and toasts as well, and takes a big drink.
And I go relax, and I just start taking it in and say, what did I miss? Seems very calm. It's just pissing rain out there.
Huh, I haven't noticed, Fernaleus says. Looks at the mead horn and finishes the little bit that's in there in the bottom, and says, I always notice the rain. It doesn't bother me as much today.
Is the music any good tonight? He kind of looks up at Thorn and winks at him.
It's utter crap today. I don't know what to tell you. No. It's been fine. It's slow crowd, but that's not always bad. It's just time to relax.
And Fernaleus, being the fact that he has a bit of a heady alcohol mix in him now, sort of falls back into an old thing, and he says, by the way, I was wondering, I mean, you know about different customs and such. Do you think it would be like sacrifice enemies, or would they do like a bloodletting ceremony once a week or so, or once a chain, or every few days? I'll have to ask one of the serving ladies, and he sort of.
What would that be as far as to interject? Mm-hmm. Would I have a religious role to understand what this might be? The telltale signs of the culture.
No, you're as far as you're aware, blood sacrifice is a huge taboo. According to your religion, you no idea what other religions are like. You have not studied
Right.
them.
But based on the altar that I saw out in the center of the courtyard, the heady smell of the blood seems to be human.
Yeah, it is.
So I look at him and just say, there's no need to ask. The sacrifices that occur here walk on 2 legs and have 10 toes.
He looks down at his cup and says, I gathered as much.
Yes.
He's going to go over and get a bit more mead and sit down. And at first, he's thinking about asking for some more. Then he reaches into his hip flask. He pours a bit of what he normally has in there and takes a sip and sort of grimaces it. It's not quite as heady, but at the same time, he's like,
as soon as you now taste the difference. What you've been having is super gross.
yeah, and it's like, But it's sort of the equivalent of having a few good drinks and then having a cheap beer afterwards. It's still beer.
So this is sort of an open longhouse setting?
Oh yeah,
Meaning,
the doors
okay.
are open. It's a common place for people to get out of the rain. And there's, besides you, there's maybe like a dozen people, including the other vampires and the chieftain who's finally returned.
Performance is actually a skill, right?
Song is, yes.
Okay.
Is Kane actually going to play with Thorn for once? This would be a miracle to happen.
I can
A
keep
miracle
a beat.
from the horse god. Write down your calendars, ladies and gentlemen.
I would imagine he can keep a beat, probably, right? Is it based off of
It's whatever your character decided to specialize in. If it's an instrument or song, or excuse me, or voice.
well, he didn't take song, so
Well, then you can't sing worth shit.
but I know how to do rhythm, right?
Nope. You got to be trained in it, man. Or you'll take a -4 penalty to it.
Like I say, well, if he's been doing the chanting, he probably at least knows how to keep rhythm from the chanting.
I suppose.
I mean, we could split
Sure.
hairs about that if we really want to.
All right. Well, we'll do that then.
So he walks over to the fire logs and he grabs one and he just starts roughing the bark off of it, and grabs another and does the same. And he looks over at Amorous and he begins whacking this larger log, like just a roughing out a beat, just a dum 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 dum, just a basic beat. Just kind of
maybe a
giving
song
him an
test then.
opportunity. A song test?
Yeah, man.
Okay, it's at a -4 because I'm not trained in it.
Yep.
I'm actually playing one of my shamanic songs.
I know.
Okay.
-4 penalty, man.
I'm going to see if you may have actually played this for me at some point in the past. You had 15 on a song test to see if I know this.
I'll leave that up to you, Keith.
Okay, I will. I'm going to start throat singing
Throat singing.
because it might. Yeah,
That is a
no, it's a
that
very.
is a 24
Oh,
on song
God.
test.
Yeah, so he blows the two of you out of the shit. So,
No, he would accompany his partners. Thank you.
Oh, excuse me.
But I will say this: if they do have a spot where they would like slip up or have it sound out of tune, so to speak,
Which is the whole fucking
he
thing.
would.
Wait, what?
He would cover it up the best he could, so it still sounds harmonious.
You're so nice.
Yeah, which is going to be kind of hard because I got a total of a 4.
A 4?
Well, you didn't let me.
You're just beaten.
Hey man, no YYZ for you tonight.
Right.
We don't talk about Rush anymore. Thank you. Get out.
No, excuse me. Sorry. No more Rush.
I give it, probably 30, 45 seconds and realize that I am just, everyone's disgusted with my rhythmic ability. And I just throw them on the fire and put my hand out to Amaris, like, take it away.
Well,
I got everyone's
actually,
attention
the
for you,
best
now
I
fix
can.
it.
well, actually, if Kane is up for it, I don't think I've ever actually really seen you play an instrument before, so that was kind of actually new for Thorn to see.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, when you go to give up, he'd probably actually come over to you, grab those sticks again, put them down, and actually give you the beat to do. Just like that simple, like 1, 2, 3, 4, and just be like, just keep that. Just
Okay.
keep that for me, and I'll play the rest.
So rhythmically speaking,
He's giving you a +2.
but if I'm going to make an argument here,
Oh,
if I had 2 axe handles in my hand,
our fucking axe handles, man. Come on now.
so I start whacking on it like I've got, because fighting is a rhythm.
You're a rhythm.
So it's +2, so it's only -2.
It's -2 now. Mike, thank you for the carry on that. Sorry about the back pain.
So that's a total of a 7 this time. A little better.
A little better. There you go.
That's a little bit better.
Almost keeping up the rhythm.
I mean, in all honesty, Thorn would actually sit there and just watch Kane do this, and then just do the whole one, keep the rhythm with a hand beat in his own a shadow thing, until Kane kind of just subconsciously almost gets it going for him.
Right.
I don't know. I also did drums, so for me, just doing that 1, 2, 3, 4 beat is just subconscious to me anymore.
Mm.
I could pick up almost anywhere and just go with it.
Nice.
So it's
All
kind
right.
of like an auto tune. He makes me sound good.
Yeah, right.
There you go. So,
Hey, whatever works.
and as I said, Fernley Essel he'll be doing his throat singing and sort of dancing along with it, and occasionally when Tane gets off beat, he'll sort of do like a little hitch step to sort of give him an idea of, hey, you're off beat, and get back in beat with him, basically.
I'm sorry, Dave. We're picking on you real bad this time.
I know. It's all good.
I am not. I'm trying to be helpful.
Right.
We're trying to bring him into the whole thing. I love the idea.
I do. Actually,
Perfect.
no. I
No,
honestly
you're
do.
good.
I
You're good.
honestly do.
Moving on. So what are you guys trying to do with this musical pickup we've got here?
Fernley Ess's idea is he's just feeling good.
Right,
He's
not quite 3 sheets to the wind.
Had a bit of a heady bruise, so he's got what would probably be one of the better buzzes he's ever had in his life.
Right.
So that's the whole throat singing and dancing and such. And he's just enjoying himself now with his allure.
Oh.
He may be getting some attention.
Oh shit.
Ooh.
His
Out of
allure
curiosity,
total-
anyone in the crowd paying attention or tapping to the beat or trying to find the tune?
23, by the way.
You got 23 on your allure. Oh my god.
Mm-hmm.
Right. There you go.
You're gonna be beating the women off with a cudgel before the night's out.
Yes, my superpower's being pretty.
He might get more than Thorn does in a night for once.
Shit. Now, so the people are they're following you. They're. I mean, you're not the place isn't packed, but you do have the attention.
Well, no. Thorn will actually play while he's walking around. And if someone is like super intent on him, I mean, granted it's a small crowd, but you know what I mean, he'll actually like motion for him to stand up and go next to either Tane or Fern and actually start having this become a crowd participation event.
Oh, nice. All right.
Question for you: what about lore? What if I were to start just doing the utterance of a story?
What are
over the like a? It is a bardic in a sense, but I'm not singing. I'm
doing the
retelling a
chant.
tale over
Doing the
somewhat.
chant.
If you regale the crowd with one of your shamanic stories, and yeah, make a lore test. Go for it.
Okay, and then it's just backed up by music, and then a pretty dancing man. I mean that in the best way possible.
It is the best way possible.
It's okay. The dead baby is a fop. It's okay.
That one is good. That one is a total of 18.
There you go. Okay. All right. So
then I finally
crowd
find my
does
voice.
enjoy your oration as well as the background music here.
I tell them a story of the plains and the tundra and the breaking of the horse to tame them, to show them the symbiotic relationship that is capable.
Beautiful. So you will drink and play the night away. You kind of turned a kind of a dour, rainy, gray evening into not a small spectacle here for these poor people in this secluded area. You guys will kind of peak here. You'll get some renown with these people. I mean, you're the best show that they have seen in a very long time.
And that's what Thorn aims for.
Oh shit! I am not just a bard. I am the bard. God damn it! Anyway, what passes for dawn again comes. There is you have been shown to your beds at some point. We'll say the women of this village are remarkably chaste. You went to bed alone.
Now that's the miracle.
See, right? Remarkably chaste. When morning does come, you are roused from your sleeping by Ormond, the quartermaster, the head provisioner of this voyage. The wagons are ready. The thrall women that have been acquired in the city are not forcefully marched, but they're kind of herded into these wagons. And there's a couple other figures amongst the crowd here, other vampires. You've not been introduced to these people, but there's a vampire for each of these wagons, and your wagon is about the middle of this train. Of the 40 women here, there's maybe about 4 or 5 women per wagon. The 3 of you are accompanied by Balinor and one of the other girls, who's an Emersian woman named Fita. She does not speak your language, but she's kind of cute. She's kind of demure and a little on the shy side, as usual. She's the only chick in a wagon with 4 dudes who are dressed like brigands and pirates. So she's kind of, regardless of how handsome her male companionship is, she's kind of rigid.
Fernleas will try to Feywise with her and see if she knows that.
She didn't know Feywise either.
He'll cycle through all of his languages, and then he'll pull out his tablet of wax, and he'll start trying to draw basic things, and then pointing at them and saying the word in Ebonfolk and pointing and.
Okay.
See if I can-
That would be an academics test if you're trying to teach her.
Yeah, basically.
Are you trained in that? I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I am. That'd be an 8, 10, 18.
No, not in the slightest.
No,
He don't know shit.
For penalty in his academics, he can't
No.
actually speak. He can't read.
You know, I do have academics, actually quite decent amount of academics, actually. So yeah, that's an 18 for academics.
Oh yeah, you can teach her a couple words and phrases.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
So that's what I'll be doing then.
As you guys are ready to set out, there's kind of a formation of a vampire at each of your wagons, and one of each of these vampires crawls into the wagon and kind of like sits amongst the thralls, and Farad kind of he stands on the axle of one of these wheels, holding onto the edge of it, and he goes, well, lets it hang in the air. He goes, this is where things become interesting for you lot. Since you are not fully trusted by our kind, you'll understand that we cannot let you know the highways of the forests. He will then utter a syllable in a language you don't understand. It's not shadow speech. It's something else. I need Fernleas to make an academics test for me quick.
Can I make an academics as well?
You're not a fae? No, you're not.
Okay.
Can I then?
19.
You're not unseely. No.
19.
19.
Always gotta be something
Yes.
with him.
He uttered,
Racist bastard.
Yes.
hey man, it's not racist. It's specious. Come on now, get with the times. No, he utters, he utters a syllable in the unseelie speech.
Oh, okay.
You don't quite get all of it because you black out, all of you.
Yay.
On a deep, deep slumber, you sleep phenomenally well. As the three
Out of curiosity, was a little girl somewhere around?
just for shits and giggles, the little girl is actually, you know what? Yeah, just for shits and giggles, Mike, she's actually following Farad around like a lost puppy. Yeah, when he was in the mead hall the night before, she was sitting next to him on a little stool. And when he was out in the village, she follows him all over the damn place. But
She's taken to calling him Louis.
no, he has not embraced her. No. But well, thank you. Point of inspiration, Dave.
Even though it don't mean shit.
Yeah,
I'll take that as a fate point, though. Thank you.
You can't have more fate
It's a
points.
Benny. It's a Benny.
Yeah, you can have a Benny. You guys wake up On a lonely hillside, on a loping plain, it's a very heavy, overcast sky. It's a very chilly, like a 55-degree wind kind of like blows the ankle-tall grass here. And with this, we'll have closing soliloquies. You're standing on a hillside overlooking a plain that's kind of dotted with a handful of villages. One such village has a prominent stone wall around it. We'll have Tane start us off tonight for the closing soliloquies.
As Tane begins to come back to the land of the living, if you will, he's laying there staring up at the sky, and he begins checking his body and his possessions, and then immediately stands up and looks for his mare as he sprints over to her, and
she's not there, actually.
Where is my steed? He is about to start. He begins frantically searching for her, and as he is unsure what to do at this point, he kneels down and holds the braid of horsehair in his hands, and he appeals to Agiun for her safety and requests to know of her health. And he's actually casting a horse ritual in this instance, or using the aspect of horse, as he is head bowed. He is on his knees and doing a series of motions where he keeps touching it to his head and then holding it right reins and holding his hands out to feel the reverberations of the hooves, just to feel the presence of her spirit.
If you're trying to divine your mount's location, she is near. And she lives. You have no idea where.
And he just appeals to Agiun in the ritualistic way that asking for her to watch over her and see her, that he hopes that he has not made the wrong choice. And that's where it just sort of ends, because he's had his, what he thought would have been his lifelong companion, taken from him. So he is visibly shaken and definitely unnerved.
Fernaleus, take us away.
So while Fernaleus is asleep, he's having dreams of a carnal nature, very much in line with his with his Umbriad side. But as these dreams progress, with the tangled bodies and pressed flesh, the bodies begin to bleed, and Fernaleus opens his mouth, and his canines get longer as he rips into this flesh in more than just a normal carnal nature. And when he wakes up from this, he is both disturbed and finds himself aroused at the same time at this imagery. He thinks to himself, what have I gotten myself into? As he looks around this plain, before he was on the edge of the ocean, and he wraps pulls his robes around him a little tighter, and reaches over to his pack and pulls out his furs and leathers and sort of drapes them over him to give a little more warmth. and he looks up and notices Tane praying, and glances around and notices that Tane's horse is not nearby. He thinks to himself that this is not a good thing. Have I led my friends astray? Am I leading myself astray? How far am I willing to go to learn about these beings? And he immediately pulls out, as he's wont to do when he feels a bit uncomfortable, he pulls out one of his tablets and his stylus, and he begins frantically taking notes about what the feelings he's feeling and where he's at, and notes the large town, and pours himself into his scholarly efforts to sort of calm himself. He notices that Thorn is there as well, but those images from his dream keep intruding upon his consciousness. He loses concentration, and he actually mars the tablet a bit. And exasperated with himself, he flips the stylus over and smooths the wax again and begins writing once again. And what he's writing in Yethite over and over again is, what have I done? What have I done? What have I done?
With the scene of much distress unfolding around Amorous Thorn, let's see what is in the heart and mind of a Seelie-aligned Fae amongst the Unseelie.
Well, the last thing he remembered and the first thing he comes to is going to be his fingers on his lute. That's going to be his security blanket, so to speak.
And that's there with you.
Right. One of the last thoughts going through his head right before darkness overtook him, before he woke up, was, oh, that's how he did that to the little girl. Okay. As he wakes up, he will wake up groggy, probably wishing it was on a better night than what it was. He will see his companions, mildly freaking out at the moment. Fern over there with his tablet, scribbling madly, and Tane praying like a man possessed looking for his horse. It would take a couple seconds for him to realize the horse wasn't there. So at that point, Thorn would kind of look around, see what's going on, see what he can see. And pretty much the only thing that will go through his mind at this point is the only thing he knows to keep himself sane, and that's going to be to pluck a tune. Maybe in a stroke of irony, maybe just because it's the area he's in, he will actually start playing the Tale of the Maiden from Maiden's Point.
Oh, yeah? That actually
Yep.
might become the party's theme song at this point. But yeah, that I won't make you roll for it. You'll find that your companions are somewhat comforted, but also I'm gonna say somewhat, maybe a little annoyed by that particular tune.
Besides that, though, Thorn's mind is kind of in turmoil. Part of him wants to have a minor freak out because, well, they were, for all intents and purposes, knocked out and taken to an area unknown. But at the same time, he has one of those few strokes of faith where nothing bad has happened yet. And he's not going to jump to conclusions quite yet. But he is definitely not his normal, relaxed, half inebriated self he normally is.
Beautifully said. And with that, I will leave you on a cold, windswept hillside. Thank you for tuning in, everybody, for session 1 of Shapes in the Dark. We'll be back next week. Good night, everybody.
Good night.